fact, we are moving on to a very high communication standard where the digital substation plays a role here. So here you can see single line diagram, which I think might be part of the power system analysis subject. Parts of a substation, switchyard equipments and control room, what is there inside. Protection equipments required for a substation. So this will be again power system protection and switchgear. Copper saving techniques, so high voltage engineering. Why do we transmit power in high voltages? So we all know that to reduce copper loss. So here what we discuss is something different. This copper is different. So let's get into that when we discuss further. User requirement. So who are all the users? Even we are users since we are using electricity in our houses. But what we mean by the customer requirement. So the direct users like the utility and the industries like power grid, NTPC, state electricity boards. So these are the customers. What are their requirements? Conventional panel, how we are, what is available in the conventional system, and then later we will switch on to the digital substation part. So let us see the initial part. This would be like more photos. So it's like a industrial visit, a virtual visit to a substation. Let's take an example. We are visiting a substation. We are going to enter into a 230/110 kV substation of TNEB located at Siriseri. Just a case study. So normally you will have a switchyard and a control room. So this area is called as the switchyard and this area is called as the control room. So what is the difference? What is the meaning of a switchyard and what is there inside a control room? So let's get into the control room and identify that first. Any substation, before we discuss further, we first have the single line diagram. We have to understand the single line diagram. So in university syllabus, maybe these symbols would be different depending on the university, or even in industries, the symbols may be different depending on the standard which we follow. Somebody says IEEE standard, somebody says ANSI, somebody says IEC standard. So that's why in all industries, everywhere, you will always have the legend. So this can always be verified from the legend available next to the single line diagram. So from this you can see it's a 230/110 kV substation. So here you have 4 230 kV lines connected to a bus bar, 2 auto transformers. So this has to be 230 side and this has to be 110 kV side, connected to a 110 kV bus bar and 8 outgoing 110 kV feeder. So for the next 1 hour, kindly remember this single line diagram. 4 incoming 230 kV lines, 230 kV bus bar, 2 30 kV bar 110 kV auto transformers, 1 110 kV bus bar, and 8 outgoing 110 kV feeders. So let me move on. What is there inside the control room? Control room consists of control panel, relay panel, battery charger, SCADA, and all the things that you see here. Cable ducts, air conditioner, operator's table with communication facility. Okay. Now the main idea is to understand what is a control panel and what is a relay panel. So let us see. This is a control panel. A panel which is used to control is called as the control panel. Now what do you control? We control the isolators and breakers from here. So you can see here this is a panel. In this panel you have switches. So by turning the switches you can operate the isolators and breakers. We also have a mimic diagram. You can see this is a representation of the bus bar.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. Please all of
Hello.
Yeah, shall we proceed, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Proceed, sir. Proceed, sir. One request to all the participants, sir. They has to mute the video and audio, sir. Then only we will not get any disturbance, sir. This is for request to all the participants. Sir, you proceed, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
So
sir.
this
Thank
is
you.
the control panel. In this control panel, we can see what are the things available. We have a mimic diagram, which is the representation of a bus bar. We have switches to control the isolators and breakers. We have annunciation window, which will inform us on what is happening in that particular bay. So what is a bay? So in this single line diagram, we can call this as bay. So one particular line along with the associated isolators, breakers, CT, PTs, everything is called as a bay. So this is a bay, bay 1, bay 2, bay 3, like that you can give any names, but this is a bay. So there will be one control panel for one bay or one control panel for two bays. Here you can see two bays are there. So one control panel for two bays. They are kept adjacent to each other. The current, voltage and power, these values can be identified from these meters. We also have an energy meter and some additional switches. So let me move on to understand further. Synchronization. So we know in machines lab you might have done synchronization. So same voltage, frequency and phase angle, dark lamp method. So all these different types are there. So here we have the synchronization, voltage, frequency, phase angle. This is common for all the bays. We can use this as a sync system. So in each bay, if you see, you have a breaker. This is isolator and this is another isolator. Isolator, breaker, isolator, and you have a switch. Two more switches here. You can see in steel. This is a local remote switch and this is a synchronization switch. So now let us understand what is the application of these two switches. See, we can close the breaker only if the system is synchronized. We all know this. So both sides of the breaker, that is on the top side as well as on the bottom of this breaker, should have the same voltage, frequency and phase angle. However, this condition is true only when both sides are live. There can be four possibilities here. Possibility number 1, both sides are dead. This is, we call it as dead bus, dead line. Second option, live bus, dead line. Third option, dead bus, live line. Fourth option, live bus, live line. So from these four combinations, we can say the top and bottom can be either live or dead, or one will be live or one will be dead. So the synchronization which we discussed earlier comes into picture only when both sides are live. If any one side is dead or both side is dead, synchronization is not required. That means we have to enable synchronization only when both sides are live. That's why we have a separate switch for that. If one side is dead or both sides are dead, you can simply operate the breaker without synchronization. That time we will switch off this sync button. The next option, you have one more switch called as local remote. So what is the meaning of local remote? If somebody is operating your television from remote and you are sitting in front of your television and you are operating by using the button, what will happen is there will be a confusion, right? You may try for channel 1, somebody in remote will try for channel 2. So, we have to come into a common conclusion whether you have to operate from remote or from the local television. Okay, this is very simple when both of us are sitting in front of the television. But here the system is different. Local means a person who is standing in front of the control panel and is operating. Remote means somebody sitting in a SCADA room which is very far away. He is not in front of the panel. He can also operate the breaker. Now there is a confusion. Who will close the isolator? Who will close the breaker? Or what is the current operation? Who is going to perform? to eliminate this confusion, we have a separate switch called as local remote. That means control panel or SCADA. If the switch is in CP, no one can operate from remote. If the switch is in SCADA, no one can operate from the push buttons available in the panel. Sorry, these TNC buttons, trip and close buttons. So that's the reason you have another switch here. And there is one more switch. This is like a voltage selection switch. Sorry, this is ammeter selector switch. So you can choose which phase current you want to see in the meters above. So CP SCADA switch, which we were talking about. Second is sync on and off switch. Energy meters, power triangle value. So reactive power, active power, and the current. These are the push buttons. So when the annunciator is operating, we can accept, reset, and do a lamp test to ensure that all LEDs are working fine. This is a relay panel. So first, what we were seeing so far was called as a control panel, a panel which is used to control. Now what we are seeing is a relay panel, a panel which is used to protect. So a protection equipment is a relay. A relay is a device which identifies a fault and sends signal to the circuit. Okay, so this is a relay panel, and what you see here is the relay. So here we are going to understand few new concepts. A relay can be static, electromechanical, or numerical. So currently, I think in the existing syllabus, we are not going too deep or in depth into numerical relays. We may just have a small chapter, just an introduction. However, when we move to industry, we work only with numerical relays. So that is the CREAM technology, or the latest one, latest standard available. Whatever technology that we talk about in power systems like synchrophasers, 61850, fault analysis. So any kind of higher level technology we talk about, the basic building block is numerical relay. So here in this substation, what you see here is numerical relay. You can see on the top, it's a numerical relay. Here we have another numerical relay. And these are static relays. A view of all the relay panels. Okay, so these are the major equipments available in a control room. Control panel, relay panel. I think other things are very simple, like battery charger. It's very simple to understand. So now we are going to the switchyard equipment. What are the equipments available in the switchyard? So here comes the T&D syllabus. Bus bar, isolator, breaker, earth switch, transformer, CT, PT, ET, line reactor, wave trap, insulators, cable ducts, lightning arrestor, kiosk. So you might be very well aware of all these things. Theory is very well available. So what I am going to show you is the real pictures available in the substation. Switchyard, the double conductors, the bus bar, they carry more current. Therefore, if your line is having one conductor, bus bar will have multiple conductors. The line itself is having two conductors, bus bar will have either 4 or more, because it carries the entire substation current. Bus bar is the common node where all the lines intersect. So this is a transmission tower, the transmission line entering into the substation. So let's see how it enters. So it takes a turn. So normally in this kind of situations, if it takes a turn, you can see here, it takes a turn. This transmits power. This power cannot touch the tower because this is also iron. Therefore, we have the insulator. And to ensure continuity, we have these jumpers. And you can see here 3 insulators. Here it is 2 insulators. The reason is this is acute angle. and this is obtuse angle. Whenever it is obtuse angle, the jumper will be very big. So if you don't have this, this may touch the tower during wind load. Therefore, we will have additional insulator which acts as a weight in the obtuse angle area. So from the tower, it enters into the substation like this, and this is the isolator. Manual operation. So this arm will turn like this and get fitted into this. This arm will get into this reverse area. In this way, the tower which is feeding the power, the continuity will be established like this. So 3 isolators, R phase, red, yellow, and blue. So with color coding will be available. Then it enters into the CT. This is the current transformer. So everything appears similar. How to identify is, you can see that this is connected in series. So CT is connected in series. Again, the isolator connected to the bus bar, CT, and this you can see the PT. This is connected in parallel. So you can see the difference between a CT and a PT. A transformer, the bushings, HV bushing, R phase, Y phase, and blue phase. The transformer, which has the oil cooling fans with air blast. So based on the cooling system, we can define transformer into 4 ways: air cooled, oil cooled, air blast, oil cooled, or even we can say self cooled. So in air cooled, you will just have the fans. In oil cooled, you will have the oil and air will be blown through the fins like shown here. So this is air blast oil cooled transformer. This is the LV side bushing. Silica gel, which acts as a breather and absorbs moisture, SiO2. Conservator tank, which has the oil filled inside. And the Bockol's relay. This is the Bockol's relay. Normally the Bockol's relay is located between the conservator tank and the main tank. This is the main tank. So whenever a fault occurs or some disturbance occurs, what happens is bubbles will be created in the oil. And by nature, since air bubble or any gas bubble is lighter than oil, it moves up to the topmost part, to the conservator tank. So in the path we have the Bockol's relay. Therefore, it will capture the gas and it will trip. Hence, it is called as gas actuated relay. And more details you might have seen in the books. This is a real operation. This relay is not replaced by any numerical relay till date. So it is still the same Bockol's relay, but it is automated. That is, this can communicate with the numerical relay, and the numerical relay can even record the entire disturbance occurring in graphical form whenever it receives a trip signal from this relay. Closer look. OLTC conservator tank on-load tap changer. This is the breaker position, spring charge, spring discharge, and on-off switch. So spring charge means the breaker is ready for operation. Spring discharge means the breaker is not ready. Breaker on means it is in closed condition. Off means it is in off condition, that is open condition. This is the number of times the breaker is operated. So using this, the maintenance team will understand how many times the breaker has operated, what is the maintenance schedule, when we have to check for the gas pressure. If it is SF6 breaker, we have to maintain the SF6 properly. So all these things, they have a POH, periodic overoiling chart. So that's why we have the breaker operation here. This can also be available in the relay used by the digital counters. The number of times the breaker operates can be checked by the relay also. Okay, back to the single line diagram. So I think half an hour is over. The first half an hour, we just saw what is there in the existing substation. We have not talked anything big about 61850 or the digital substation. So this is the basic, and if this is clear, we can very easily understand the advancements. So let me move on to the next area. common requirements from customers. What customer needs is a compact panel, simple scheme, less copper wiring, easy to configure, easy to troubleshoot, security, accurate fault information, support for technical issues, and product training. So now, if you have been working in any one substation, or if you put your yourself in the shoes of a operator, we will understand why all these things are required. It's just like, if somebody is asking you to use a new phone, or you change your phone because your existing phone is damaged, you have migrated to a new phone. For 1 or 2 weeks, you will find it difficult because we have to get used to the features. It's the same way when a person goes to a substation, it will take a lot of time for him to understand, because it's not a static or electromechanical relay, it's a numerical relay, which is 1,000 times high number of more features are available than a mobile phone. So when you want to work in a numerical relay, people call it as plug and play device, but in reality it is not plug and play. There are a lot of functions, features, algorithms, firmware. Entire world of power system protection is actually going on inside the numerical relay only. So things has to be simple. That's why they ask for compact panel and simple schemes. Next is copper wiring. So if we have too many wires, it would be very difficult to troubleshoot. If everything is fine, it's absolutely okay. But if something is not working and if we have to troubleshoot, then the copper wiring plays a very important role. So it should be less copper wiring, easy to configure and easy to troubleshoot. This of course self-explanatory. Just you can imagine operating your mobile when we are reading all these things. Security, of course, somebody is stealing all our data from our mobile. It's okay, it's an individual data. But if you talk about power systems, it's a national security issue. 400 kV, 765 kV substations or 1200 kV substations. I think many of you might have seen the movie Die Hard. So this is the concept in it. Whenever there is a team which wants to attack a country, they first attack the power system network, switch off their power network. Then the country will not be able to fight back. They will lose their major strength. It is like, when there is no power, still as long as the mobile phone is working and battery backup is available, we are happy. But once the mobile is not there or communication is disconnected, we feel too lonely. It's the same thing which happens to the security system of a country. Therefore, this security is very, very important. Out of all the things which is shown here, the security is extremely important. Several cyber security laws have been defined by IEC standards. So every area like numerical relay, Ethernet switch, nobody should be able to hack the power network. Even if we try to somebody, some genius guys on networking hack a SCADA system, they should not be able to trip the breaker. There is so much of security with password protection. Even if you get control of their system, we should not be able to trip it. So that's what is meant by security. Accurate fault information. So this is also very, very important. So what is this accurate fault information? 20-30 years back, if you imagine, okay, I think some have to mute their
Yes, sir. I think so. So. Somebody, some participants. Hello, sir.
Yeah. Jaya Udaya.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was able to see somebody talking. I just read their name. I was not sure that it was you. So sorry.
Okay. No problem. Sir. Continue, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we are talking about this accurate fault information, DR, FL, and SOE. This is like a disturbance recorder, fault location, and sequence of events. So this is like very easy to understand. Let us imagine like this: 20-30 years back, during many of our childhood days, if there is a power supply disturbance in our house, I remember still what we used to do is first we will wait. We will check in neighbor's house whether it is gone there also. Then we will think that they will be calling the electricity board and somebody will do some work. So maybe if morning there is a power supply disturbance, evening only it will come back. That means it will be like a one-day power cut. But if you see nowadays, when there is a power supply disturbance, it will come back in another 10-15 minutes. Maximum 10-15 minutes break is there. So what has actually happened? If you see, the network has grown in the past 20-30 years tremendously, but still we are able to make things better. How they are able to do this? So this is where you simply have to visualize this. When let us say there is a 100-kilometer transmission line, somewhere in the distance of, let us say, 40-kilometer, a line got some kind of fault. Let us say the jumper is open, or line is cut, or something happened in that place. Now the relay will identify this as a fault perfectly, and it will trip the breaker. Okay, protection has worked perfectly as per power system protection principle. No issues on that. But the question is, how far you restore it? Now what happened those days? It's a 100-kilometer line. 40 kilometers from our place, there is some disturbance. How you will know that it has happened? People will have a vehicle. They have to travel below the tower after tower, and it is not in the highway. It will be somewhere where there is no road. So we have to travel below the tower, verify each and every pole. So imagine how much time you will consume to verify the fault location in a 100-kilometer transmission line, especially if it is in hilly area and jungles. So what is the point here is, if you are using a numerical relay, the relay will identify the fault, and it will also tell you 40 kilometers from our substation, pillar number 36, R phase jumper broken. So if this information is available to the team, within half an hour they will be able to fix the problem. So this is the benefit of accurate fault information. So accurate fault information means it's very, very essential to put back the system into service once the relay operates, and this is possible only in numerical relays. So that's where we are talking about upgrading the syllabus, or apart from the existing protection syllabus, we should also have a new syllabus on numerical relays. There should be a special subject at least for master ME students on power system protection using numerical relays. So we have framed a lot of syllabus, and we are doing that in many universities. Of course, if any staffs are interested, at the end we can have you can also contact me. We can work on that area also. Okay, so that's something which numerical relay training for the next manpower is very much required. The future engineers, protection engineers, should be aware about numerical relays right when they step out of the college. Next is support for all technical issues and product training. Okay, so this is happening by the companies. So the first initial area, this is the solution. When all these things are satisfied, we get a solution that is called as smart substation. So let us see that how the smart substation concept is going to define all these things. What kind of solution they have given to achieve all these things. So here we want to eliminate the equipments which are in terms of copper, and we want to make it compact, because having a compact system with less copper wiring is the first requirement for customers. So what we can do inside the control room and outside the control room. We are almost nearing 40 minutes. So do we have to re-log in?
No, sir. No, sir. No need, sir. It is not showing any message, sir. Now you continue, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Inside the control room, what can be done? We can eliminate control panel, reduce inter-panel wiring, reduce panel wiring. Okay, now one by one we have to understand what it is talking about. Now we spent first 5-10 minutes in understanding what is a control panel. Now we are telling we don't want control panel. So unless we understand what is a control panel, we cannot eliminate it. That is the idea of talking about it. So let us see the solution. How we are going to eliminate the control panel. We are going to eliminate using BCU. BCU stands for Bay Control Unit. The next one is reduce inter-panel wiring. Inter-panel wiring can be eliminated using goose communication techniques. So what is goose communication techniques? We have to identify, or we will discuss in the coming slides. The third one, reduce panel wiring. Remove auxiliary relays and use inbuilt features of numerical relays. This is the third option. Okay, these three we can do inside the control room. Now let us see one by one. Before that, we will see what is the what we can do outside also. What can be done outside? We can reduce cable. Cable is in the form of copper. Kiosk system, process bus. So the last line that you see here, process bus system, this is called as digital substation. But before moving here, we have to understand one by one all these lines. Then only we can move for hard fiber system. So let me start with this. First, eliminate control panel. We already saw what is a control panel, what is a relay panel. This is how it looks. The left hand side is the control panel, right hand side is the relay panel. We are not going to touch the relay panel. Left hand side we want to eliminate. So let us see how to do that. We use a numerical relay. This we call it as Bay Control Unit. Now you can see whatever we discussed in the name of control panel, everything is available in this. Therefore, when we work with the Bay Control Unit, we can eliminate a control panel. And this is a small box, just the size of our laptop. So the size, you can visualize this. What you see here is the size of our laptop. So with this, we can eliminate one size of our control panel. Control panel is a size like our, a Godrej bureau, such a big one. That can be eliminated, and in that place we are putting a laptop. So this is called as first method. Eliminate control panel, use Bay Control Unit. Okay, next one. Reduce inter-panel wiring. Let us see what is the solution. This is the single line diagram. Multiple bays. Relays required. So from a single line diagram, we can say that these are the list of relays required. Distance protection. Transformer, we have differential and restricted at fault. For bus bar, we have a bus bar differential protection. 110 kV, we have overcurrent earth fault feeder. Okay, so all these are based on the specification of a customer, which can slightly vary depending on customer's perspective or standards or country also. Some countries use a different standard. Like in Russia, they never follow IEC or IEEE. They follow a standard called GHOST. In US, mostly it will be ANSI, American Standard National Institute, ANSI codes, and European standards would be IEC. So different countries follow different standards. Even in India, we follow Indian standard from Power Grid or SIGRE, or SIGRE specifically for India, we call it as CBIP. So these things are not fixed, it keeps varying, but the fundamental is what we study in the engineering syllabus. but more detailed application is actually required. So this is maybe can be considered for master degree protection course. So some of the signals, like we all know that isolator, earth switch, all these are offline device. Breaker is online device. That means you can operate even when current is flowing. That means online. Breaker can be operated. Isolator earth switch cannot be operated. That means there is an interlock. So when breaker is closed, isolator cannot operate. When isolator is closed, you can operate breaker. So like this, you create all interlocks. NIT logic, normal, inter, transfer. So these kind of logics we discuss in detail in double bus bar scheme or two main one transfer schemes. LBB, local breaker backup, bus bar trip signals. So these are some examples actually. So when we go deep into the protection syllabus, all these things are very interesting applications. Of course, this is not the main agenda. Now we are just trying to understand what is inter-panel wiring. Power system protection principle. Oh, there is a change. It's not power system principle, it's protection principle. Faulty part has to be disconnected. Healthy part should not be disturbed. There are various bus configuration, single bus, double bus, triple bus, etc. like this. So single bus, double bus, triple bus. Why these types of bus arrangements should come? So there is a different, logical understanding behind it. Why we should have all these things. So when you have so much of communication between the panels, that is when isolator is operating, breaker should be in open condition. When breaker is closed, isolator should not open. This communication is happening from one panel to another panel, one control panel to another control panel. But now what we have done, we have eliminated the control panel. Each control panel is replaced by a bay control unit, BCU. That means there are multiple BCUs. Now what is a BCU? Bay control unit, which is a numerical relay. The relays will be talking to each other through fiber optic cable, communicating. This communication is called as GOOS, which stands for Generic Object Oriented Substation Event. So this is a definition as per IEC standard. So when you eliminate control panel, we are using BCU, but you want to reduce inter-panel wiring, you have to use numerical relay and you have to use GOOS communication. The last one, reduce panel wiring. How to reduce panel wiring? If you take one line, a 400 kV line, these are the list of protections required. Distance protection, pilot schemes, non-pilot schemes, auto reclosure, switch on to fault, power swing, trip circuit supervision, broken conductor, and so on. So if you read that, you will get a lot of protection systems. So a lot of relays will be there in a panel like this. So instead of having multiple relays like this, you can have one relay. Just one or two relays, one BCU and one BPU. Because this relay itself has all the protections available inside. Like, our mobile having camera. Nowadays, very few are using digital cameras because everything is inbuilt in the mobile itself. Audio, FM, everything is there inside the thing. So if it is not there, you use many equipments. If everything is there in a single equipment, why to use multiple equipments? Therefore, they eliminate all these things and you can. Okay, this is, when we are talking with the industrial team, commonly asked questions I have addressed here. I am skipping this. So when we start using the inbuilt features of numerical relays, this is how the panel would be. It's very compact. Okay, here again another question will come out. What is the use of reducing the size of this panel? Okay, you can start visualizing it in this way. Earlier, before we started discussing about all these advancements, we discussed about a substation. In that substation, let us say there are 100 panels, 50 control panel, 50 relay panel. Now what we did, we already eliminated the 50 control panel. So now we have only 50 panels. Now, since we reduced the size, there is another option. Without reducing the size, you can put 2 bays in one panel. That means 50 panel will become 25 panel. So what is the final outcome? In place of 100 panel, we are currently having only 25 panels because of all the discussed features which were implemented. So 100 panel becoming 25 panel provides a cost-effective solution. It also reduces the land acquisition cost, civil construction cost of the control room. Next is outside the control room. What can be done? We can reduce cables. So how we can reduce cables? So let us see the architecture. What is SCADA? Acquire data and control. So supervise, control and data acquisition. This is called as SCADA. What do you supervise? The position of isolator and breaker. What do you control? Position of isolator and breaker. What do you acquire? Current, voltage, power, all these things which are there in the control panel. Now we are reading it from the energy meter and the relays. Therefore, supervise, control and acquire data. This is called as SCADA. So from one computer, one laptop, if you can control the entire substation, it's called as SCADA system. Substation automation system. This is like without allowing the user to operate, the system itself is intelligent enough to operate. So the substation is actually automated, which is called a substation automation system. Okay. Next is the architecture. How to differentiate between this substation, SAS layer, SCADA layer, WAN layer. So substation automation system. Over that you have the SCADA and the wide area networking. So different SAS means different substations. All substations communicate together in load dispatch center. So ULDC stands for Unified Load Dispatch Center. From LDC, it also goes to the National Control Center, which is located in Bombay or Delhi. Each region has a LDC, SLDC, WLDC, NLDC, Northern Region Load Dispatch Center, like this, and these all will merge in one dispatch center. So that is called as wide area networking, WAN layer. So now we are talking only about the SAS and SS layer. Different communication architecture available: LAN, ring, Ethernet with switches. So Ethernet switch is something with which all numerical relays communicate. So communication, what is 61850? Okay, if you Google it, you get a lot of information. So I am just going to give you the outline of it. The first standard written dedicatedly for power systems. 61850, the first standard dedicatedly written for power systems. This talks about what is multimedia messaging service, MMS, goose, sampled value, all these things, and also web server. That means log into your Internet Explorer and control a substation, of course with all the cyber security laws complied. It has 10 chapters as defined in this. Part 1, part 2, like this up to part 10. Each part talks about how the 61850 system architecture should be. So when we implement all these things, we call this as a digital substation, process bus substation, or IEC 61850 based substation, because all these things are nothing but part of IEC 61850. Architecture. These are the numerical relays which you see down. This is conventional CTPT switchgear isolator breaker, hardwired copper cable coming here. From here it is connected to the switch. From the switch it is connected to the SCADA system and engineering workstation, like this. This is the architecture. So let us very clearly understand this. The relays connected here. These are all the relays. Numerical relays. fiber cable connected to the switch like this. This is, let us say, 230 kV side, 110 kV side. So from here, another fiber cable connected to another switch. From this switch, computer is connected. So this will have maybe RJ45 port to connect the computer, which has a printer and a GPS system, global positioning satellite, to time synchronize the equipments. Okay, let us understand a little bit further. Why this kind of ring? If this fails, this will communicate like this, this will communicate like this. If this side fails, both the switch will communicate like this. If this side fails, both will communicate like this. So it's called as a fault tolerant ring. So anywhere the fault is, it will still communicate. Therefore, the relay will be protecting. Even if this communication cable fails, the relay will still be protecting. But you cannot control from the computer because you lost the communication between the relay and the computer. So to ensure that we don't lose that, we have multiple redundant communication architectures as shown in the previous slide. Different levels of topologies, different names. Of course, this we deal in detail when we have the syllabus on training on these things, these subjects. Because nowadays, when manufacturing companies on IEDs and protection system are recruiting, mostly they get into these kind of subjects. So there should be awareness on what is 61850, what is an IED, what is SCD, what is GOOS. At least we should know the expansion of it, and later we can understand what it is. What is a kiosk? So we have been seeing what is a kiosk. This is a kiosk. So what is a kiosk? A kiosk is a room in the switchyard. And what is inside this kiosk? We have the relay panel. So earlier we saw what is a relay panel. Now what we did was the relay panel is kept inside this kiosk. And the cables are entering here. You can see here. So now let's move on. Now this is the most important slide. We are going to merge all the stories which we have been talking earlier. We are going to construct a substation. So the single line diagram, which we saw initially, 4 incoming 230 kV line, 2 auto transformer, and 8 110 kV lines. The architecture, which we saw in detail, relays connected to this switch, these relays connected to this switch, and the switches are connected like this. 2 switches are in the bottom. This we call it as base switch. This switch is in the station switch, and this is fiber optic cable. This is what is inside the kiosk. We already saw this panel in detail. So the numerical relays are actually interpaneled through a fiber optic cable and connected to this black box. This black box is nothing but the switch, Ethernet switch, this switch. So the relays are connected to switch. This is how it is in reality. Okay, this is the compound wall of a substation. Control room. Substation automation system panel. We have a panel there. This is the switchyard, 230 kV side, 110 kV side, 2 kiosk. The kiosk is something like a room which is shown in the previous drawing. In the kiosk and in the control room, we have the switches. So the base switch and station switch. So you can see this is the base switch, the bottom one, and this is the station switch. So you have the base switch here and the station switch here. Now we have to connect this architecture. How is it connected? Like this. What is this? Fiber optic cable. So from this, what we understand, between the control room and switchyard, copper cable is eliminated and only fiber optic cable is available. So that's a digital substation, because we eliminated compact, we eliminated the copper cable, eliminated the control panel, and made the system compact. However, we call this as a kiosk system. Yeah, it has several advantages. Lot of copper cable, because in a substation, if you see, the copper cable cost itself comes down to around 80 lakhs to 1 crore rupees. So that much amount of money can be saved by eliminating the copper cable. And we also get into the advantages of copper aging problems, rat biting the copper cable, all these things will be eliminated. So kiosk system. Okay, so what we spoke about is also not a latest technology. This is also widely implemented since 2007 in many parts of India. Any 400 kV or 765 kV station of power grid, if you enter, it will be a kiosk arrangement only. But after implementation, even kiosk arrangement had problems. So to overcome that problem, the concept of digital substation and smart substations came into picture. Now let us see what is the problem of kiosk system. The second one is the major problem. BCUs are used for local operation in the substation. In kiosk system, the BCUs are in the kiosk. Hence, operation of control room is not possible. That means we earlier told that control panel is for local operation. We eliminated the control panel and we kept a relay and we called it as BCU. And we said that we will be able to operate locally from the bay control unit. Then what we did, we moved that BCU to the switchyard itself. Now if there is a communication problem, the operator cannot operate from control room. He has to run again to the switchyard. This is the major failure of the system. So let's see further. 400 kV switchyards, very long and difficult to walk during summer and night time. Imagine during rainy situation, the condition of an operator. See, what happens is every 1 hour they have to write down the reading of the current and voltage of every bay. That is the duty of the operator. Nowadays with SCADA system available, it will automatically print every 1 hour. So that work is also eliminated. However, if the communication fails, then the printing will not happen. He has to run from kiosk to write down the reading. Now the question comes in. 400 kV and 765 kV substations, which is very, very big. The operator has to keep walking from kiosk to kiosk. So by the time he completes one round, 1 hour will be over. Again, he has to run. So from morning to evening, the life of the operator will be miserable. Imagine during night time, rainy season, it's not going to be an easy task. Now, why these things happen? You can see here, these are numerical relays. You see what has happened? The rats have used it as a sanitation ground. This is the fiber optic cable. They have bit the cable.
Of electrical and electronic engineering department.
Okay, so this is the kiosk. So from here the cables enter and it is the same hole through which the animals also enter into this. And when they enter into this, this is also having air conditioner inside. So in place of, in hot areas, animals also go inside and stay there comfortably, bite the fiber optic cable. You can find all these things in substations. And the worst case is this. So it's difficult to differentiate whether it is a cable or a snake during night time. The worst part is, okay, I was not able to take live photos of these things. That's why I have taken some, cartoon pictures. But we find all these things here. Government always allots land for substations. And they always allot only a land which does not have any value. And land which does not have any value is actually a previous day's graveyard. Normally, substations are allotted only in graveyards or it is very near to a graveyard. So because of this, imagine the life of an operator. Night time, raining, SCADA is not functioning because of these guys. they bite the cables, and they have to go and open and operate from kiosk to kiosk. Do you think if he sees something like this, even if it is a cable, he will definitely not go for any troubleshooting work? So these are, the real miserable situation of a operator in this kind of arrangements, especially when it fails. If it is perfect as per the theory which was discussed, it's a beautiful solution. But when it fails, it's not so. So that's where the need for a different arrangement is required, and that is called as the process bus system. So let's see what solution is suggested. So we introduce something different here. This is called as a merging unit. So the architecture goes like this. This is a merging unit directly kept in a switchyard below the CT and PT and the breaker. And this is the exact architecture. So if you understand this, you can understand very easily what we are talking about. The transformers, the isolators, breakers, line, everything. This arrow mark is the copper cable. This is the merging unit. And this is the wall. This is the switchyard. This is the control room. Inside the control room, we again shifted the relays back here. No more kiosk. Bring back the relays into the control room. And we keep this merging unit here. This merging unit converts analog to digital form. And what you see here is not copper cable. This is hard fiber, military standard armored fiber optic cable. That's why it is called as hard fiber system. So from every bay, we have multiple merging units connecting all the information to this kind of cross connect panels. From there, it is connected to the numerical relay, BCUs. From the BCU, we can still operate the entire system. And this being a military standard cable, animals cannot bite this cable. And this is an IP66 device. So this is totally enclosed. So there is no disturbance and there is no kiosk also. So all the disadvantages which we saw earlier is overcome. And at the same time, we also have all the advantages which we saw earlier. That is elimination of copper cable from control room to switchyard. So this is called as the process bus system. So in future, this is how the substation will be. No copper wire. You can see all these are fiber cables. Only 3 wires just to power up the relay will be there. So it's fully digitalized. That's why it's called as a digital substation. So you can say IEC 60850 based substation, or since we are having hard copper military standard fiber optic cables, we can call it as hard fiber system or merging unit system or smart substation. So all names are same. So in smart grid applications, this is the advancements which has happened in power system protection area. So with this, I conclude, and I am open for questions, so we can discuss. If you can one by one raise if you have any questions. You can also type your question in the chat window. I can read the question and I can reply to all, so that you need not unmute yourself. Otherwise, there will be too much of conversations. So you can just type in your questions. I can read the question and answer here.
Sir, this is Jayodhya, sir.
Yes,
Hello. Sir, Karthik Reddy, he asked one question, sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
For given specifications, is there any change of performance from control panel to BCU, which cost more? He asked the question like this, sir.
Okay. See, this is what is the cost difference between a control panel and a BCU? It's like, you're directly comparing the cost of a BCU and a control panel. You can say like this, earlier days we used to have a, black color phone in our house. We cannot compare that cost with the iPhone. Definitely the latest technology phone is very, very expensive, but we are still going for it. So what is the reason for it? You very well know why you are going for a latest numerical, latest smartphone, even though the conventional phone is still working. what are the advantages, so you are able to compare. So when it comes to a substation, I will just talk in terms of power system protection. The cost of a control panel would be roughly in the range of 50,000 to 80,000 rupees. One control panel should be in the range of 50 to 80,000 rupees, whereas one BCU would be costing around 3 to 4 lakhs rupees. That means BCU is very expensive. So if I replace 50 BCUs with, 50 control panel with 50 BCU, my cost is going to be very high. However, you cannot compare with like apple to apple. If I am using BCU, I am eliminating control panel. If I eliminate control panel, my 100 panel became 50 panel. That means reduction of size of my civil construction. My control room size comes down. 50 panel copper cabling need not be done. Copper cable can be eliminated. That cost comes down. My land acquisition cost also comes down. So when you see the overall cost, use of numerical relay, that is BCU, will be cheaper. That is why extensively India and many parts of the world is moving towards BCU concept. The second one, another very important reason, if you are using a BCU, as we discussed earlier days, when there is power cut, you will be able to restore power after half an hour, 30 minutes, like that, because you need more time to do troubleshooting, maybe 4 hours or 5 hours, because accurate fault information is not available. A control panel cannot give you fault information, whereas a numerical relay can give you fault information. So with accurate fault information, the restoration time also will become fast. Once you are having a fast restoration time, you are earning a lot of money, because every minute power flowing means money for government, for the utility. So when you put all these things, the cost of this BCU compared to control panel is nothing. It's very, very small amount. Though if you compare, in left hand if you keep control panel and right hand if you see BCU, BCU is very expensive. So this is the answer to the question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Any other questions from participant side? Suppose if you're having any questions, please type in the chat box.
Oh, somebody has asked what is right of way, ROW. No, I don't know what is that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what is that, but why you are asking me that? I did not show that anywhere in the presentation. I'm also not sure what is ROW.
Sankara Rao, actually he only asked that question.
Okay.
Any other questions from participant side?
I'm also trying to read all the questions. So if something new comes, I will read and reply.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So any other questions you can type in? Yeah. What are the challenges faced in SCADA system in substations whenever fault occurs? Instead of calling it as a challenge, we can say that there are a lot of information available in SCADA. See, normally what happens in the current situation is SCADA system is an integration of all the numerical relays. All the numerical relays, if you see one numerical relay for one line itself can record lot of information. That is the strength of a numerical relay. We cannot prevent a fault, because fault will occur in the weakest system. It will still happen. But how fast we identify the fault cause for it, and how fast we can restore the fault. That is where this numerical relays are helping us a lot. So when you see what is the problem in one specific area, we will not be able to get a clear picture. This is like, if you have seen movies of Sherlock Holmes, it would be very interesting. When something happens in one place, everyone will be looking at that place, but actually Sherlock Holmes will have an overview and he will be seeing many other things, and he will be able to join the dots, and he will be able to link several cases together, and he will be able to solve it. This is the same thing in power systems. It's very, very interesting subject, especially when fault occurs. That is, luckily I was earlier working in the fault analysis area. I actually started my career in Alstom. Then I worked in ABB as a commissioning engineer. Later I moved to GE, where I was working in this fault analysis. So in fault analysis, the biggest beautiful thing is, when a fault occurs in line 1, we should have a complete information about what happened to the bus bar, what happened to line 2, what happened to line 3, what happened to the transformer, etc. So in SCADA system, this information is actually available. So SCADA, if one relay can record 1000 event files, the SCADA will have into the number of relays. So if there are 10 relays, you will have 10 into 1000, 10,000 events. So for a SCADA engineer, analyzing the 10,000 events, identifying which is required, which is not required, eliminate them, then use that information and analyze it and come to a conclusion. This is the challenge for a SCADA engineer. So in your question, actually you have put that what is the challenges faced in the SCADA system. Okay, so you can say elimination of unnecessary data, collecting the required data. This is the first challenge when a fault occurs. And after that, everyone can see that information, but only few can read that information. So that's a huge difference. So you will get a lot of data. What are you going to do with the data? This requires power system protection background and experience. Without knowing the internal algorithm of a numerical relay, we cannot analyze a fault. So we had published many technical papers on this area, like fault analysis. Even in Google, you can see type my name with some maybe K and Dinesh Babu with some fault analysis. If you put or busbar protection, you will get a lot of papers which you can download and read. All these are published actually. So here we have discussed about the fault, like real faults, how we have analyzed, how even after so many years of experience in the field, like our utilities and industries are having so many years of experience, 100 years of experience. Every year they are upgrading the specification. Still, every time when a fault occurs, we are learning something new, and we understand that the current specification is still not up to date, and it can never be up to date, because one side technology is growing, the other side specification has to match with the technology. So this is what the challenges which a SCADA engineer face. Normally SCADA engineers would not be experts in fault analysis. The fault analysis experts would be a power system engineer. SCADA is just an extension tool. Okay, I will move on to the next question. Can you provide the PPT through email? So unfortunately, there are a lot of pictures which are industry-based pictures which are confidential, which cannot be shared. Sorry for that, ma'am. How far the integration of IoT cloud-based protection system to our Indian grid system is effective? I'm not sure to what extent they have done this. We are actually currently working on C37.118. It's a IEEE standard, IEEE C37.118. So this standard is actually like a, in simple words, I can say like this. A difference between a doctor and a astrologer. What happens to a doctor when something goes wrong to a person? He comes and attends them. Okay, whereas an astrologer is going to anticipate something and tell him in advance something will happen because your star is like this, right? So this is exactly what we can understand. Relay is actually doing the work of a doctor. Whenever a fault occurs, it will identify the fault and it will trip the system. Whereas IEEE C37.118, this is called a synchrophaser. What it is going to do is, it will understand the system and it will give you some anticipated clues. Like for example, two lines are there, line 1, line 2. Line 1 suddenly tripped for a fault. Now relay will identify line 1 as tripped. That is the work of relay, doctor's work. Now what the synchrophaser will do, since both are parallel, line 1 tripped, line 2 is getting overloaded. If the same condition persists for another 15 minutes, line 2 will also be dead. Like this, it will give you a anticipation. So you do something, otherwise line 2 relay will take an action. So this is called a synchrophaser. To do this, all the numerical relays in the entire grid has to be synchronized. So that is what we call it as synchrophasers. It's a very interesting subject. So in that area, many research is also going on. One more question is, what will happen if isolator operate on load condition? Okay, isolator does not have the arc quenching medium. Breakers have arc quenching medium such as air, air blast, SF6 or vacuum. If you in isolator you don't have, therefore there will be a huge arc. I think in YouTube, if you just search for isolator on load operation, you will get a video where a big arc will destroy the system. Actually, it will destroy the isolator. A very big arc will occur. So just go to YouTube, type isolator online opening. You will get some videos that you can see what is the real condition if isolator is opened online. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I will just leave you my personal email ID. You can find me in LinkedIn also. And also my WhatsApp number. So you can message me if you have any questions in WhatsApp. I am sending this to all. Okay. So you can keep in touch. Apart from this, we can do a lot of guest lectures in your colleges if permits. Physically doing it in front of students and faculty development programs is very interesting. That's one of my passionate area, which I keep doing it. And you can link with me in LinkedIn also. A lot of my papers which I have presented in protection area is available in LinkedIn. So you can directly go to the main website where it is published and you can download them. So if you are looking for some kind of students guidance on protection system, that is my area of expertise. So in that area we can think of something which is feasible from both sides. We can work together. And if you are looking for any kind of faculty development programs or guest lecture, you can always contact me. Need not hesitate. Only thing is I have to check my availability and timing. And we also do protection system lab setup. So if you want any kind of protection system lab setup, just message me in my WhatsApp. I will route you to the right people. So we have done that in many places. So that will be very interesting. So any enhancements, like in Modrobe, you get a lot of funding to do lab enhancements. So protection system, many people are afraid to buy numerical relay because buying is not a big thing. What to do after buying? That is the biggest question which comes to the mind. So in that area, I can help you a lot. I can we can do a lot of things together. We can do training. So in these areas, once you have the numerical relay, we can definitely make best use of it. Because whatever we talk, unless you touch the relay, we will not get the feel of it. It is just theory. Theory is always theory. even if in this kiosk system, if you see, the entire world believed that that could be one of the best system in the world. But after installation, they found a lot of issues. So, real field implementation only gives us the actual scenario. So in this way, the first thing that we can do is to ensure that your students, that is the next power system batch which comes out from engineering colleges, should be ready for the industry. Currently, it is not. The first time, even I was seeing numerical relays first time in the site only, in the field, in Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. So when I was in college, I just read one page in the syllabus. So that's the huge gap. So that's another area where I can contribute. I hold a doctorate in power systems, and I also have been guiding students in doctorate in several universities, including IIT. So if you have doctorate course, and if you want me as an external guide, I can still work on that area. And if you want to have a syllabus set for power systems, that also we can work. I can share you the syllabus. So that's it from my end. So keep in touch. If you have any questions on WhatsApp, we can, whenever time permits, I would be able to reply to you. Thank you very much for your patience. I hand over the session to the organizers.
Yes. Sumitra ma'am. So thank you, sir. Your presentation is very clear and informative one, sir. Really, it is very useful for all the participants. Hello. Hello. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello.
சொல்லுங்க மேடம்.
சார் சுமித்ரா மேம் இது பண்ணுங்க சார், கூப்பிடுங்க. ஹலோ.
பண்றேன் மேடம், பண்றேன், வெயிட் பண்ணுங்க. அவங்க அன்மியூட்ல தான் இருக்காங்க.
மேம். கேக்குதா மேம்? மேம் நீங்க சொல்லுங்க. ஓகே.
On behalf of the management and department, I would like to thank you once again, sir, for your valuable presentation that in busy schedule. Thank you once again, sir. Participants, tomorrow we'll have 2 sessions, one starting from 11 to 12 noon, and another one we have by 4 to 5 p.m. So without fail, kindly attend both the sessions. At the end of each and every session, we'll provide you the link for our feedback. So you have to fill up the feedback link without fail. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. So thank you again for all the participants. Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir.
end பண்ணிடலாமா மேடம்?
end பண்ணிடுங்க sir.